Hey, this is Jonathan, and in the following tutorial, we're going to take a look at the simplest theme that you need for WordPress in order to work with page builders such as Elementor. Elementor is one of my favorites, and so I'm going to just show a couple ways that this theme can also be used with that builder as well. So looking at the themes, the reason that we're doing this is because if you look at a standard WordPress installation like this one right here, I've just installed it using poopy.life. All I've done is install the WordPress 5.0 or 5.04 and also Elementor and Elementor, and I have Elementor Pro, but I'll get there. If I go to one of my pages, such as this one, I'll go ahead and view that sample page. Here's what it looks like within the page. Now, if I were going to be using this with a builder, I'd usually go to the page and say, let's edit with Elementor. And you'll see that it'll put me into this template again. So here I am within the template, and you'll see that the page builder is relocated to just that little tiny section of the page, and the rest of it is coming from the theme that we have. Now, true, we could go possibly over to our settings and change this to possibly the Elementor canvas, which is something where you get rid of everything else. And this Elementor canvas basically says just put Elementor in the page. Well, that's essentially what this new theme is going to do. It's going to get rid of everything so that the only thing that you have is just the content that's going in Elementor. So here's to take a look. Let's take a look at this theme. If you want to go ahead and follow along, you want to open it up with something like brackets where you can create files. So let's look at the different files that you have to have. Starting at the bottom, the first file that you have to have is a style sheet. Now, the reason why it has to be called style.css, you have to have this content at the top in order for WordPress to know that you have a theme that you are installing. And then I've also just put in just very little text here that gets rid of the margins and the padding, which is really good. Another thing that I have right there is a comment that says, hey, by the way, when you're working on your CSS, put it in the customizer CSS so it's injected into the page and it bypasses the cache. But when you're done, go ahead and copy it into your actual style sheet. It's a great way of bypassing the cache when you're just developing things. The next thing that you need here is, I have a screenshot. You always have to have a screenshot. And the index file. The index.php file is the only file that you need to have in order to have actually a fully functional WordPress theme. So we have a couple functions in here, the get header at the top and get footer. Now I found that these are actually required by Elementor. Now what that does is that loads in the two different files, the header.php and the footer.php. And we'll look at those files in just a second. Inside this index, I have one very, very simple WordPress default loop. If have post, while you have the post, get the content, and that content is what comes in through the builder. And if I don't have anything, then of course it needs to have some sort of error message. So that's as simple as it gets, though, for echoing content from WordPress. Now, inside the header, it's a little bit more complicated file. I have some basics here where you load HTML and the attributes, set the character set, say that it's UX UA compatible, and then you want to set the viewport to the device width and initial scale to 1, and that's for responsive design. You really need that. The next thing I have is just a simple title and meta description information. Now, typically I would install a plugin such as Yoast or All-in-One SEO, and that will handle this type of stuff. It will override this with its own settings. And that's all going to go down into this section right here. Now, one thing that I found that's really important is that you do want to enqueue the jQuery script. Otherwise, the Elementor builder does not load properly. And then you have to put in the WP head tag. And what that does is that brings in all of the required CSS and JavaScript files from the plugins that you're using. The last thing that I have here is a link to the style sheet. I like to use this particular version of it. echoing the style sheet directory URI because that is compatible with child themes as well, versus just go straight to the style sheet file. And then I put in some body classes as well. That way, if I want custom CSS to affect certain pages only, I can use that body class to be able to do it. The other file that's required is the footer, and this one is super easy. All you're doing is closing your HTML and including the WP footer function. And what this does is include all the JavaScript that you might need from plugins that are required to be at the bottom of your page instead of in the head section. The last file that I have here is my scripts file, and this is just an example of a WordPress script that's using jQuery, and you have to have it wrapped in an anonymous function, or there's a couple different ways to do this, but in order to use just the regular $sign to refer to jQuery, you want to wrap it in this function. So that goes along with the enqueuing of the jQuery that we do earlier. That's required as well at some point. Now, the last file that I have, which is definitely more complicated, is my functions file. You can find out lots of theme functions that you can add by going to the developer WordPress pages. But I basically have some different, some sample ones here. First one right now is going ahead. Oh, I have it spelled wrong. Look at that. Is adding or enqueuing the scripts JS file, and that's going to put it at the bottom. The other thing that I'm enqueuing are my dash icons, which I kind of like. Another thing that I'm registering is my menus. So I need to have footer and main nav menus that are typically there. You could put dashes here instead of underscores if you preferred. That's completely up to you about exactly how you name it. Another thing that I want to register is sidebar widgets. Otherwise, we won't have them active at all in our theme, and we want to go ahead and give at least one of them possibly. I also like to add support for our featured images, and that does it just with this add theme support post thumbnails. Now, you can also add custom sizes, which I do in just about all of my WordPress sites. I will have custom sizes, and so you can see add custom size or add image size, banner large or banner small, and then have the size. And the true says to go ahead and crop it to that. Now, another thing that I love is using a plugin called Crop Thumbnails, and that allows me to recrop a custom thumbnail after it's been generated automatically. Really, really nice. I have another one in here just as a quick sample of creating your own custom function, and this one, all it does is return the title of the current page. And then I have another one to echo or return the value of a custom field. So these are not really required, these later ones. The ones that you definitely want are to register the nav menus, register a sidebar, and add theme support for the post thumbnails. All the others are kind of extras. So we could even add this enqueuing script by adding it directly to the footer or the header.php as a URL. For example, we could use that and just change that to scripts.js, and we'd be able to load the JavaScript. Of course, it's a little bit different, the code for loading JavaScript, but you can probably figure that out. So that is the basic theme. Once you've created this theme, I'm going to go ahead and save all those files. You want to then take that entire folder, and I've named that folder, by the way, the same thing as it's called in here. So that is the exact same name. Once you do that, you want to go ahead and zip this thing up. So I'm going to zip that into an archive. Now we want to go back to WordPress and we want to install that theme. So let's go to Appearance, Themes, Add New, upload the theme, and we want to find that theme. So if I go there, that is under my temp folder. There it is. Once I've got it, I want to activate it. And then I can go ahead and delete all the other ones for right now. You'll notice as soon as we go to the themes, if you go to something like widgets, you'll notice that you have a sidebar main. If you go to menus, you'll see that you have, we still probably need to create a main menu here. So I'll do main menu. but you'll see we have main menu and footer menu. So we've registered those 2 menu locations. So that's great. You can register many others if you want. If I go to posts, so I'm going to go real quick just to the default post that's here, you'll see that we have the featured image on the right. So we do have the ability to add featured images. But let's go back and look at those pages that we have. First off, if I go ahead back to the sample page and I go to edit this, you'll see the only thing that I have in my page is just the builder. I don't have anything else. And that is awesome. Now, the reason that's awesome is because if I want to use something like, let's see, this is Elementor Anywhere. Let me go to my plugins real quick. Yeah, Anywhere Elementor. If I want to use that to create a theme, I can go to the Anywhere Elementor templates and create a new template. So I'm going to create one for the header. You'll see it should load properly. And we're just going to do a very, very simple one. So we'll do something like that. And we'll add an image. And that would be that. And the other thing that we might do is a menu. Navigation menu. This is not going to look good, but that's okay. And we'll say that it would be the main menu. There's nothing in there, but at least you get the point that this might be a header. Now, I can't see the top of this thing right now because of the poopy.life banner coming up on the top. And that's something that you can kind of fix. If you were to add a new section, you could take this section and add it above real quick just to kind of see that this comes down. And the reason I'm doing that is because I just want to change the background color of this just so I can make sure we see that color. So maybe I'll make it this bluish color. Awesome. I'm going to publish that, and I'm going to go back to the dashboard. The reason I want to go to the dashboard is because I'm looking for this code right there. If I want to inject this into my template, I actually can go to my themes, and it says here's the insert Elementor ID. You can go to your themes, and then I'm going to go to the editor, rather, is what I want. And I do understand that I'm editing a live theme. I'm going to go to the header, and right after that body, I'm going to inject that header. Then you save the page, and now if you go and look at your website, you'll see you've added that to the top. So you can basically create a custom theme using Elementor Anywhere and using Elementor itself. Now, that's not nearly as powerful as the actual real theme. I'm sorry, the real professional version of Elementor. So I'm going to come back to that header, take out that code because I really don't want that. And this time I'm going to go to my plugins and I'm going to activate the pro version of the plugin. Now what's great about this is now I can go to the theme builder and I can create new themes or new things like this. So here's the header. I'll create a template for the header. It even gives me the ability to insert some common ones that are there. So if I like one of these, I can go ahead and insert it. It's not going to allow me right yet because I'm not, let's see, I'm not logged in. So how about I just go ahead and close that real quick. I said not logged in, but I haven't registered this site. So I'll just do it this way. Same sort of thing. And you'll see that we have some new things like site logo, site title. So maybe I'll put the site title in there. And you'll see it says sandbox, which is just a simple title. And if I wanted to put in my nav or menu, if I can spell menu. So there's the nav menu that I'll throw in. And you'll see it uses main menu. So now I can publish that, add a condition, tell it to include in the entire site. And one thing I probably should have done was just change my background color so I can tell it's the new one. I'll make it green instead, even though that looks horrible. We're not talking about design right now, though. So now if I exit to the dashboard and then view my site, you'll see that that has now been injected into the top of the page. Now notice that it doesn't always use the CSS, so it's a good idea to go to the customizer and add your custom CSS. For example, the body tag, and we want to change that margin to 0. Even that one thing right there will just make sure that this thing is being viewed in the entire width. That's perfect. Now what's great about this is that now I can create things such as, if I go to my templates, my theme builder, I'm going to create one that is for a single. And this will be for single pages and for posts for right now. So I'll tell it to be a single page. And we're logging in now. I don't have this installed, so I don't have it authenticated, so I'll just do it manually. It's really easy. Just create a section. And now what we need to do is find the post content. We could put the post title if we want, and we could also put the post content underneath it. There we go. And of course, there's other things, featured image, post contents, post navigation, all sorts of stuff. But this is just a page, so I really want it to be super simple. Right now it just has the title of the page and the content. So let's go to my pages, take a look at that sample page again. And you'll see that's what our page looks like. That's the content of our page. So it's going to go in one big thing. And of course, we could add as many other sections as we want to this page. And we could do all sorts of stuff. We can add images. We can add another image to the other side. We can duplicate this or add another one. So we'll do another here and we'll put in, let's see, some portfolio login. Which one do I want? Image box. We'll put in an image box real quick, and we can duplicate that with Control D. So we have a couple image boxes, and if we want to duplicate that, we can also duplicate that and have 3 across. And of course, we can then change things like padding and margins and everything else for all of our different items. It's pretty darn amazing what we can do with this builder. Now, I've just made some very simple changes, and I'm going to view the page, and you'll see, oh, I need to make sure I go back and turn off that Elementor canvas for the page attributes and just use the default. That's why that wasn't showing. Now let's view that page, and you'll see that we should have our header at the top, and our page is there with the title at the top, and then the content of that page. And that's a really simple way of using Elementor to do an entire website. It's just amazing. But if you use a theme such as this, where it's really, really simple, it doesn't have anything extra, then you don't have all the weight and all the other complexities of the other theme that you have with Elementor inside. It keeps everything just into Elementor. So let me know in the comments if you've created a theme like this. I'll also try and provide a link to the theme that you can download and install yourself. Thanks.